Welcome, everybody. This morning, I'm going to talk about equanimity, how to approach life's challenges in a way that is calm and peaceful. So, what does equanimity actually mean? Well, it actually means our ability to remain calm and stay centered and balanced in the midst of chaos and challenges. It is actually a quality that is innate in all of us, just like the other three divine abodes which we've covered: loving kindness, compassion, and joy. In Pali, it's called Upekkha, which is to look over, the ability to see without being caught by what we see. And it is said to be able to protect us against the 8 worldly winds, meaning praise and blame, success and failure, pleasure and pain, and fame and disrepute. So, in other words, when we have success or lots of pleasure in our lives, we don't get too attached to it because we know that in itself is not permanent. And so how can we stay even-minded without getting so excited about these pleasures and successes that we have that we begin to grip and grasp them? Similarly, when we have been blamed for things and we have failures and pain in our lives, know too that too shall pass. So we can try and remain calm and equanimous in the midst of all that chaos. So in fact, there's a wonderful Zen story that really illustrates this point really well. So I'm going to read it to you. So there was once an old Zen farmer. Every day the farmer used his horse to help work his fields and keep his farm healthy. But one day, the horse ran away. All the villagers came by and said, "We're so sorry to hear this. This is such bad luck." But the farmer responded, "Bad luck, good luck, who knows?" The villagers were confused, but decided to ignore him. A few weeks went by, and then one afternoon, when the farmer was working outside, he looked up and saw his horse running toward him. But the horse was not alone. The horse was returning to him with a whole herd of horses. So now the farmer had 10 horses to help work his fields. All the villagers came by to congratulate the farmer and said, "Wow, this is such good luck." But the farmer responded, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" A few weeks later, the farmer's son came over to visit and help his father work the field. While trying to tame one of the horses, the farmer's son fell and broke his leg. The villagers came by to commiserate and said, "How awful, this is such bad luck." Just as he did the first time, the farmer responded, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" A month later, the farmer's son was still recovering. He wasn't able to work or do any manual labor to help his father around the farm. A regiment of the army came marching through town, conscripting every able-bodied young man to join them. When the regiment came to the farmer's house and saw the boy's broken leg, they marched past and left him where he lay. Of course, all the villagers came by and said, "Wow, amazing. This is such good luck. You're so fortunate." And by now you know the farmer's response. Well, so the takeaway from this story is that things change. Good things happen, they don't last. Bad things happen, they don't last either. So equanimity is a quality where we practice radical acceptance to whatever comes our way, whether it's good or bad. And really it requires us to get comfortable with not knowing. And specifically, it actually asks us to really surrender to whatever situations we are faced with. Now, bearing in mind that when I say surrender, it doesn't mean that we just stay passive and we allow people to walk all over us, or we do nothing in times of challenges. That's not it. What we're saying here is that we surrender to the fact that it's happened, and we surrender to the feelings that come up in the midst of all that chaos. So we all know the well-known serenity prayer that says, Lord, may I have the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So, in effect, cultivating equanimity, we are finding balance in our hearts in the midst of life, when we recognize that life is not in our control. And it also is a virtue that balances compassion very well. So that while we practice boundless compassion, especially when we see our loved ones suffer, when they have their own challenges, we love them, so we want to help. And in fact, we're kind people, so we want to help our neighbors and even strangers. We want to help, but equanimity is a nice way of balancing compassion, so that we understand that actually all beings are heir to their own karma. They each act and receive the fruits of their actions. And we can deeply love others and offer them assistance, but in the end, everyone must learn for themselves that they are their own source of liberation, their own source of happiness and peace. So what about when we're going through that mist of chaos and challenges? How do we stay equanimous? What does surrendering actually mean? So by surrendering, what we mean here is that we try not to have strong feelings towards that event. And when the strong feelings come up, what we do is we practice the 4 levels of mindfulness that I have spoken about many times. So in other words, we acknowledge the content of experience. So for example, if in the difficulties that we're facing, fear comes up, worry comes up, anger comes up, we feel it in our body. We go within and sense what does fear feel like in our body. Is it the tightness of our stomach? Is it the tightness of our throat? What does anger feel like in our body? All of us may feel that differently. Is it the pounding of the chest? Is it the same thing? Is it the shortness of the breath? So we go internally to feel and experience the content of what we're going through and be part of that process. So become very aware of where we're feeling those experiences in our body, and we don't turn away from that experience. And when we can watch and be with those experiences, what we're noticing is that those emotions are energy. So there is no substance, and they rise and fall, and over time they dissipate. Just like any energy needs to dissipate and move, that energy will move too if we pay attention and allow it to be there and breathe through it. And over time, we learn to increase our level of awareness such that we become aware that we are aware of these emotions that are within us. And then we tend to our peaceful heart. What does that mean, tend to the peaceful heart? Well, we could replace guilt and blame and anger for forgiveness and kindness. Same thing, we could replace anxiety and fear for kindness and love and compassion. We can deliberately choose peace. So there's that determination and willingness to act. But we also can choose that we don't have to be right because we prefer peace. We could simplify our life. We could let go of our judgments of ourselves, judgments of others, because judgment and peace are antithetical. Judgment can be really debilitating, but the ego loves judgment. The ego loves to hang on to these difficult emotions because that's how it survives. So what we're required to do if we want equanimity is to practice these 4 levels of mindfulness, where we acknowledge the content of that experience. We process the experience by going within and sensing where the experiences, become aware that we're aware of these experiences, and then tend to our peaceful heart. Sometimes we may need to practice this over and over again, in the sense that those intense emotions might dissipate for a while and then they come back. But what you'll find is that the more you practice, the more you'll find that those difficult, intense emotions become less intense and they have less hold over us. And when those strong emotions begin to subside, when we feel we're less reactive, we're calmer, our mind seems clearer, we can then start to ask ourselves some contemplative questions. They could be questions such as, what judgments am I holding on to? You may have heard me talk about how when we hold on too strongly to our judgments, to our views, our opinions, our beliefs, you can get rope burn, right? So what are those beliefs and judgments that we're holding on to tightly just so that we can be right or feel like we are right? And why do you need to feel that it's necessary to have control over things or control over others? What are your fears that are stemming from that? And so these are pretty confronting questions, but it actually allows us to bring to the forefront of our minds some of our conditioning that we can let go because we choose peace. So surrendering is really a process that can eventually free us, so that then we can come back to our natural self, our Buddha nature, where equanimity lies, where we learn to be peaceful and in the midst of difficulties, and really learn to understand and feel that happiness and peace are within us, and we don't need external factors to help us find peace or happiness. Thank you. Now, what I'm going to do is take you through a mindfulness practice on equanimity. So sit in a way that you're comfortable sitting. Just take a moment to check into the body and make sure that you're completely relaxed. And in order to do that, maybe you want to deepen and lengthen your breath. And with each exhale, allow whatever tension that you feel in your body to be washed away with that exhale. And perhaps even tell yourself this, that for the next 10 to 15 minutes, you are going to Just be here as a gift for yourself. That you're going to put aside your responsibilities, your worries, your concerns, your identity. And for the next 15 minutes, you're just going to be present. And stay with your breath and allow your breath to release all the tensions that are in your body. Now I invite you to reflect on the benefit of a mind that has balance and equanimity. Sense what a gift it can be to bring a peaceful heart to the world around you. Let yourself feel an inner sense of balance and ease. Acknowledge that all created things arise and pass away. Joys, sorrows, pleasant events, people, buildings, animals, nations, even whole civilizations. Let yourself rest in the midst of them. And I'm going to say some phrases. I invite you to see if you could embody them as I say these phrases. Allow your whole self to feel these phrases, to feel the ease and the calm and the balance. May I be balanced and at ease. May I learn to see the arising and passing of all nature with equanimity and balance. May I be open and balanced and peaceful. May I be balanced and at peace. May I learn to see the arising and passing of all nature with equanimity and balance. May I be open and balanced and peaceful. Now we acknowledge that all beings are heirs to their own actions and that their lives arise and pass away according to conditions and deeds created by them. While we can love and care for others, we cannot fix them nor love for them. And And so for the next bit, you might want to bring to mind people you know who have challenges in their lives, or people around the world. And as I say these phrases, send this wish for them. Your happiness and suffering depend on your thoughts and actions, and not my wishes for you. May you learn to see the rising and passing of all things with equanimity and balance. May you have true equanimity. May you be balanced and peaceful. May you live with a peaceful heart. And finally, we can expand our field of equanimity to the whole world. May I bring compassion and equanimity to the events of the world. Others' happiness and suffering depends on their thoughts and actions, and not my wishes for them. May I find balance, equanimity, and peace amidst it all. May I learn to see the arising and passing of all things with equanimity and balance. May I be open and balanced and peaceful. May I live with a peaceful heart. Next few moments, we're going to sit in silence as you dwell and rest in this peaceful heart. And we shall end this meditation with the sound of 3 bells. Namaste.